time, man.
That was that was always my with my barber. I would the dude that I was cool with who lives in Vegas now, and then my current guy. And I was like, yo, you gotta keep it 100 with me. You gotta tell me when you're cutting, like if you see anything, if anything looks different from last time. So every time he'd laugh and be like, "You're good, man. You're good. Everything looks good." I'm like, "All right, cool. We got another. We're fighting to see another day.
There you go.
Fighting to see another day." My dad was
Um,
bald by like 21, dude. I couldn't even
no way.
imagine. Early, like by 23, was already just it was a wrap.
Wow.
A wrap. I couldn't even imagine like what that does to somebody they're like confident. I can't imagine walking around with a bunch of your 23-year-old friends and you're just bald.
I will disclose at this time about just like my situation. Definitely nothing about that situation, but um, just my location and all that. I mean, I want to talk about it because it's really cool. Um, it's gonna get out there for sure. So I mean, I left Miami, uh, and I came back to Brazil, and now uh, day one, literally day one, I was just roaming around, and I have made incredible friends here in this brokerage, and they've got this real estate brokerage here, and they invited me to come today to come and just work and just like hang out. They already showed me pretty much everything. Dude, I was literally chopping it up with them in Portuguese yesterday. And I was explaining to them all the stuff I knew about seller finance and creative finance and subject to, and asking like, can we do this kind of stuff here? Like, is it legal? And they were so excited to talk to me. They were like explaining, yes, it is legal. We do this kind of stuff. We really do this business. So like, I'm really around some heavy hitters in Brazil, and I'm in the brokerage right now, and it's like we're really doing this business, bro. We really do this business.
Got you at the front desk
They got me
too?
at the front desk, man. I got myself a little office space day one. It's crazy. The blessings out here are insane. And then
What
what's crazier is, so I've been thinking about like kind of, just how I want to do things. And of course, I'm never going to let my foot off the gas when it comes to wholesaling. Of course, that's no question. But the question is, well, what am I going to do with the money that I earn from wholesaling, right? And so personally, I've been thinking about it a lot, and I feel like, the best thing for me to do would be to reinvest it. And what better place to reinvest it than here in Brazil?
what is your so all right, because I did see you talk about the brokerage. I saw you mentioned yesterday you're like I'm at the brokerage right now, and I was like, what are you doing? So like do you need a license out there to practice real estate, or like what's your capacity?
So here's what you can do. The only thing you need a license for in Brazil is to list properties on the MLS. So I figured there's a unique opportunity presenting itself for me to work with the people in this brokerage. I want to start a campaign. I've made a few friends out here, and they work 9 to 5s. They hate their jobs. And I want to see them do what we do in the US out here in Brazil. And so what I want to do is, and this isn't going to happen overnight, but what I want to do is I want to get some bandit signs, and I want to start marketing, and I want to get leads coming in. And so after we get the leads and we pre-qualify, I'll teach them, how to talk to people on the phone, how to pre-qualify leads and all that. We'll get it under contract, and then I'll have this brokerage list the property, and we'll literally just do novations out of Brazil.
Brazilian novations.
I'm gonna be the Brazilian novation king, dude. I swear, I look like a Brazilian out here, man. And they would never know. They would never know,
I mean, I think it's crazy how comfortable you already look on day one. Like,
dude.
A,
Day one.
obviously you spent a lot of time in Brazil, so you're comfortable being there anyway. But like most people on day one of a job or like meeting new people, they're like, all right, like they probably wouldn't even pull up their camera and do a live stream because they're like, I gotta blend in a little bit. I'm nervous, and just like they got me at the front desk.
They got me at the front desk, and I'm telling you, bro, like the people here are so cool. They really invited me. They spoke with me. They didn't judge me or anything. They really like welcomed me here. And they saw that I was curious and that I wanted to learn, and they just poured into me. Like they showed me their version of the MLS and all of their properties that they have listed, that's publicly listed, where I can get property info, all that stuff. They got me on WhatsApp. Like the ball's rolling. The ball's rolling. I'm
got
gonna.
me. They got
I'm.
me on WhatsApp.
It's serious when they get you with the WhatsApp, but I really have a vision for this place, and it's like I don't really have this vision anywhere else, but I have this vision here, and it just makes the most sense for me to be here. I've already weighed my options. I've given it a lot of thought. I've journaled about it, and it just makes the most sense.
So you're locking in full full time job, full time responsibility in Brazil now. You are fully committing to the Brazilian lifestyle, everything.
Yes,
Wild, wild, wild,
crazy, right?
wild. So what is, because I remember before, obviously you left because your Airbnb stay was up. So did you get everything figured out?
Oh man, I can't even tell you. This Airbnb, way better, dude, way better. It's not even a comparison. I thought that I had a nice view on the last one. Dude, this one has privacy. There's no one that can see me. I don't know if you ever lived alone, but like when you live alone, you just want to, I don't know, you just want to walk around and like do whatever. No one can see me. I'm, dude, I'm chilling. Like I got a beautiful view over all like the houses. There are no buildings parallel to me, and I have a nice deck. I have a nice grill. I can grill on the deck. And so I was looking on
Oh
Airbnb.
yeah, you know how to cook now. You know how to cook now, right?
I do know how to cook. I do know how to cook. I'll be chefing up. I'm a real independent man out here, man. I'm that guy. Feels like it. Feels like I'm that guy. But
Is this
nevertheless,
Airbnb better than the last one because of the increase in funds that you have from last time to this time, or is it just you got a better deal?
this one is not like I'm spending more money. That's the other thing is like I'm not trying to ball out. I'm trying to save my money. I'm trying to stack my bread. I don't want to spend money unnecessarily. To be in Miami in 3 weeks, man, I spent a ridiculous amount of money in 3 weeks. Ridiculous. Like an assignment fee in 3 weeks. And it's like, dude, I can't. And I was in a position, where I could have potentially bought a Rolex. And for me to be even in proximity or even in a position where that's possible is not a good thing. Not a good thing. Not a good thing. So that kind of stuff doesn't exist
And
out
I
here.
mean, look at that. Eduardo said, "Come to Argentina with 3K, you live like a king."
Yes, yes. Argentina is beautiful as well. And I don't know, man. I'm not saying that I'm going to just stay in Brazil. Of course, I will continue to travel, but I want to get something started for myself. Like I would like to build a life, I think, in Brazil. That's what I'd like to do, and I'm working towards
That's I
that.
remember, and I had my ISA company, and I created kind of like a JV, I guess you would call it, with my head ISA who lived in Nicaragua. Both pretty much the main team worked and lived in Nicaragua, and my guy Juan. And so like we would have, I mean, we were making good money, man. We were making 25, 30 grand a month sometimes. And peeling him off sometimes 10K a month, and seeing the different, he would send me pictures. Him and his wife would go out to dinner, and it would just be, it would be dinner with like the view of the water. They were sitting right there. He'd send me a picture of the plates. It would just be stacked with food. They got drinks on the table. He would just be like, "Guess how much?" And I'm like, "How much?" And he's like, whatever, 16 bucks or whatever it was. And I was like, "Dude, with the amount of money I've sent you over the last few months, you're literally like probably a king over. I can't even imagine there's probably not somebody within 50 to 100 miles of you making that much money that you're making right now. Um, and it was crazy too, because like when we first started working together, I had to send him money Western Union, but I had to send it like a really weird, specific way because he said there was the president of like Nicaragua. There was like terrorist situations where they were checking like all they were flagging accounts for that were exceeding certain dollar amounts on there, and then if they were freezing the accounts and like investigating if it was from like terrorist activities, like the money and stuff. So I had to send it to him I was sending it to like his baby mama at one point, and then like his brother. Like it was very specific, and then he was able to open up. I helped him open a business bank account in Nicaragua. I had to like write a letter. So like from an American citizen, I had to write a letter for him and get it notarized and like do the whole deal to help him open a business bank account so we could verify the funds that he was receiving. Um, but yeah, man, that dude was getting deposits of, like I said, like some 10, $12,000 sometimes a month. And I remember being like, dude, that money's decent for me. And I know how expensive it is here. What you can stretch that money for out there, I was like, you must be legit a millionaire at this point, like out there. He was building a house
It
for his
feels like
mom at
it.
one point. Like you could tell it was crazy,
It really feels like it.
absolutely crazy.
I don't feel limited. That's the thing. Like, and we talk about freedom a lot, and that's what this place can afford me is I feel that level of freedom. An Uber from my place to the mall is like $3, $4, and that same Uber in Miami would be 10x the price.
I mean, that's yeah. I mean, you went to a place though that there's not there's not a lot of more expensive places in the country than there. I mean, like you'd in to match that, you would if you went to Vegas and you stayed at like a resort, like the resort dollars are always higher, right? So like I remember my wife and I went to I forget the name of the hotel in Vegas, but it's a really nice hotel and you're like on the resort. Was it Cosmopolitan? And we ate at like a decent restaurant there, like on the resort at the actual place. And it was like $120. We got one meal, one meal. I don't even know. I don't even think we drank. She got like an iced tea. I got like it was like over $100. I was like, what is this? This is insanity. Why was that so expensive? And it's just so Miami's just one of those places that like there's not a lot of places that are more expensive than that. So you got a taste of like as soon as you came back, you went to the number one. I mean, again, there's probably 3 to 4 other places in the country that would be like equal to that. There's probably spots in California. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like you're paying prices that you get like when you go to like a concert and beers are like $12 and a cheeseburger's 15 because they got you there, so they know they can charge you whatever. Like that's kind of like what Miami is. It's just like, yeah, you want to live here and you want to pretend to be that guy? Okay, well, we're going to charge you so you can show Instagram
Dude,
the dinner bill that it was $600 to, you know what I mean? Like that's they certain parts of like LA are like that too. Like they created a lifestyle for you to flex. So they charge high prices so you can brag about it to your friends to show what you're doing. So it's like they do it almost intentionally.
and that's the thing too is I really
Who the
don't
fuck is
wanna.
that?
I don't know, but it's funny. I would definitely buy a green suit too. That's so crazy. Um, that's the thing, dude. I really don't want to look like successful. I want to be successful. I really want to have a portfolio. I want to really make an impact. I want to be that guy that people know and respect me for what I do, not what I have. Because what I have is not the goal. Is how can I make my life mean something? How can I make what I do every day contribute something to the world? Like that was really the inspiration to start, a community was really like I want to make an impact, like a real impact. And I know that's what everybody in here that pours in this community wants as well. And that's why I believe we're so successful is because we all really want to make a positive impact on this industry and every single person that joins us for these lives and watches us on the reels and participates and does deals. We really want to make an impact. So that's what I'm after, and I really see the potential that I have as an individual, knowing what I know, to be able to teach people here how to do the same thing and create that freedom for themselves, because realistically, they don't have the same access to information that we do. I don't think. Now, I really don't know. Maybe I haven't been here long enough to really know, but the friends that I've been able to make, they've been so kind to me and have helped me. They've poured into me, and I want to see them all successful. Like, I just want to see everyone I really care about really succeed and really win in life. And whatever that looks like for them, I just want to see them realize their full potential. And if there's anything that I can do to help them realize their full potential, I will do that.
Yeah, I had a conversation yesterday. There's two guys that are buying a sub two deal for me. They're flippers. I think they bought one sub two in the past, but not they bought it. I don't know how well it worked out, I don't think they learned a lot from the experience. So they're buying my Houston deal. Really good guys. I've had a couple conversations with them. Um, and I talked with them. Yesterday was a burnout of a day on the phone. I was just on the phone all day with listing agents and stuff. And so they were texting me during the day and they were like, hey, can we hop on a quick call? Because they were just trying to ask questions, which I understand. And I was like, is it urgent? And they're like, we love that. They're like, just hit us up when you're ready. And I was like, all right. So I called them and I talked to him on the phone for like 45 minutes, but it was more like the basis of the conversation was like, I want you, I'm not an educator by any means. So like, because a lot of people, like after I'm done talking to them, like a listing agent wise, after I explain stuff to, they're like, thanks for teaching us like that. And I was like, it's not like, I hate that. Like, I'm not an educator, but like I was telling these two guys, I want you to just understand as much of this as possible because I know that we're going to do deals together. Like it'll be this one and probably other ones, but I can't realistically think that we're going to do every deal together. So I know you'll eventually work with other people and do other things. And so I just want you to know, I want to pour as much into you as possible in knowing as much as you possibly can on this, just to benefit yourselves and benefit everything else that you touch from here on out. You'll have more experience, more information, more knowledge on the subject matter. So you'll benefit yourselves, and like I said, you'll benefit everything else you touch at that point because you'll be passing along correct information and things like that. So I'm the same way as of recent. It's been tough just because, like I said, I've been on the phone so much lately, but I felt the switch in myself in the last like week to two of like the conversations I'm having. I'm being extremely transparent when I'm talking about things because like now part of my speech is telling them like I don't care that if what I'm telling you will kill the deal because some of the stuff I talk about can be like the scary parts about sub two, right? Like we're talking about the due on sale clause, we're talking about all these things, but I was like, I want you to know these things. I don't want you to think it can never happen. I want you to know that these things exist. So that makes you a better person too. So you know now, and then for the future with whatever you touch in the future, you know that these things exist and you understand it better. So I'm the same way too. I think as of recent, like I just want to put people in the best positions possible, I think with whatever I can provide in those scenarios.
And you've definitely done that. I mean, you've got a whole vault of videos. You weren't here in the call yesterday, but there was a guy who came up yesterday who shared that he closed his first
I
deal.
wanted to be on that call so bad. That was a 2 hour Zoom call I had yesterday. I have these people that want to JV with me, and I think it's great. They're like, we have about 2 to 4 deals a month that are like warm, hot leads, sub two. And they're like, if we send you mortgage statements and give you the information, can you like call and close it and we'll split 50-50? And I was like, yeah, sure. And so far on this first deal, like I said, 2 hour Zoom call. And again, this is they wanted to go over the contract that I sent them over because I guess in the past they received a sub two contract and the person just sent it over and didn't go over it, and so they got like scared on some of the things. I spent. I wish I would have recorded it, but my computer wouldn't have had space for it. It was 2 hours from 10 to 12 p.m. Literally the same time as this live stream for me, line item by line item, every single aspect of that contract, reading it and then explaining what
Matt,
that
you've
means.
got to record these. These have to be loons, brother, because what you can do with those loons is
It
you can
was
send them to other
insane.
people and buy back your time so you don't have to get on another 2 hour Zoom call like that ever again in the future. That's what I'm realizing is the importance of actually creating content and just documenting things so that you can go and give those things for people to refer to later on.
I'm working on it now in terms of like general stuff. Like I have 3 or 4 videos that I send to agents with the typical questions I get. And then like that one, like I said, I was going to. I didn't want to though, just because there was like I probably could have blurted out like the people actually on the call, but I might make one in the future if I have time, like just actually going. But again, that touches back to like knowing what you're sending out to people as well. Like a lot of people in here don't even understand the contracts that they're filling out. They don't, I've seen you do it with sellers where you actually go through line item, so I know you understand it. But like I
You
think it's
have
very
to, and it's
important
important
because
that you do because you need to know what you're asking someone to agree to, and you need to know what you are agreeing to. Because, like in the event that Matt and I have right now, where the buyer that we assigned a sub two deal to has defaulted and is not responsive, we need to be able to foreclose on this guy, put that property back in the name of the original seller, and then I want to buy that house from him. I actually had a conversation with Eric this morning, and I told him, "Look, I'm working on this. I just let him know, hey, I haven't left you behind. You know, I'm working on this and I'm going to have something for you no later than Tuesday of next week." And he said, okay, cool. He told me when his wedding was. It's sometime in June. So he's got time. So it's not an urgent thing, but this is something that should be done sooner rather than later. So,
yeah, like you said, I think it's important for people to know because again, to us, like the stuff that we talk about on a daily basis, right? We've been doing it for a while, so when we say it, we're like, oh, everybody knows that, right? Like, or that's common knowledge, and but to a lot of people, it's not common knowledge, and to a lot of people, it doesn't. Like the conversation I had with those two guys yesterday, the two flippers, the things I'm saying now are so like I don't even realize I'm saying it. Like it's so subconscious, it's just coming out naturally. So for me, it's common, but to those guys, they were like, "Wow, dude, I didn't know that," or "I thought this whole time, and now I realize it's." So I think the contracts can become that as well, where you get just like, "Oh, send it out," and they'll just sign it and not ask any questions. And then if they do ask questions, you don't know how to answer because you don't even understand your contract of what you're sending out. So there was even a part of me where I've had a transaction coordinator now for a few weeks, and so as I'm going through, I'm reading it, and then like as I'm reading it, I'm looking down to see what the next one will be, and I'm like, what is that one? Okay, okay. Like I had to redust it off in my head too. So then as I was going through, I was like, all right, and then having the ability and the knowledge to not only read it, but to recite it in a way so they understand what it means, taking the lawyer language out of it and putting it into simple terms of what that means to us in this contract. Going over the assignment portion of that contract, not dusting past that part. And I made sure in that, and I was like, and here is the assignment portion. And I even highlighted it. And I was like, I'm going to exclusively go over this because a lot of people will try to brush right over this because they're going to try to assign the contract and they don't want you to know it's there or know why it's there. So I went over that for 5 minutes. I went over sign all the assignment clauses. So again, just understanding your contract of what you're asking people to sign when they're signing it, and if they have any questions, being able to explain it in a way. So, but who hopped up on stage? Sorry, that's just I was on that call yesterday and I wanted to be in the live stream for that.
no worries. I completely understand. And that live stream was very short yesterday. It was 30 minutes. I was completely like out of energy because I had just got off the plane that morning and hadn't really slept. So I had 30 minutes. I want to make sure we were consistent, but I had to keep it under control in terms of time. And that's something that, we got to continue to be mindful of because I know Matt's running a business. I'm running a business. Everybody in here should be running their business. And we got to make sure that we get down to business when it's time to get down to business. So, pausing these calls at about an hour should be good. Um, really take advantage of this time to really get engaged in the side chat. Feel free to raise your hand and join us on stage if you feel convicted and want to say something or add something to the conversation. But yesterday was Vittorio, and this is an individual. English is his second language. It may even be a third language. It's not his first language. He lives in Italy and he's making these calls. He found a deal on market and he said he reached out to you, but you were working other deals and that didn't stop him. He was resourceful. He found sub two students that were in that area, in that market. He brought the lead to
Wow.
them and they negotiated the terms and then they broke bread at closing. They assigned it off to somebody else. And so that's exactly the type of action that everybody in here needs to take. And that should be an example and an inspiration to all of you, especially me, because I'm also doing this. I'm in a foreign country speaking a foreign language. I'm trying to do foreign business. And there are some people I know in here that are in foreign countries doing business domestically in the United States. And this guy, an Italian, came, got on the phone, faced his fear of being on the phone, of not being an English native. I trust me, I know what it's like to speak a foreign language and to feel like, I'm not really from here, so I don't know if people are really going to take me serious. He made that call. He did what he needed to do. He followed through. He followed up, and he continued to persevere. And the number one thing is to be resourceful because Matt wasn't available at that time. And that's just how life is. We're not available 24/7. We have our own things going on, just as you do in your lives. And to not stop when the game shows you adversity, when the game shows you those hurdles that you've got to jump over, to be resourceful, be able to pivot and find another way to get what you want to do done. He reached out to other people that were in that market that knew the skill that he wanted to learn, and he collaborated with those people, brought them an opportunity, and they broke bread at closing. And that was his first deal. His first deal was a sub two transaction.
Wow. Wow. See, and he did exactly what we say to do, whether it was going to me. I don't even know who. I maybe it's in my DMs or message request. I'm not sure. But what we always talk about doing, especially on creative, especially on sub two things like that, is partnering with somebody who has that experience. Partnering so you make sure it's on correct. You got a hurdle because you're Italian. You have a language barrier. You have a lot of things going against you at that point. So being resourceful, being able to find people that have the experience. First off, that's impressive enough as it is. Like being maybe in Italy, being in another like not, and then still being like, okay, let me go find people. Not even just find anybody that can help me. Let me go actually find people with sub two experience. Let me go to the sub two community and reach out to one of these individuals that can help me with this deal. So I think that's very impressive and doing exactly what we always say to do. Like, don't try to take, like, he easily could have been like, you know what, let me try to do this myself. I got the deal. They're ready to go. Let me try to lock this up myself and create terms. And he likely would have been a lot of the people that I compete against all the time that just offer insane seller proceeds and over ask and then maybe risk having to come back to the seller and negotiate down and so did the exact thing that we always say to do, which is I think is fantastic. And now hopefully he learned a little bit on that transaction and maybe he'll have to JV again, but by the third, fourth, fifth, maybe he'll be in a position where he'll be able to do those things himself.
Absolutely. I
I think
see
that's
he's
awesome.
chiming in the side chat. Vittorio, feel free to come and join us if you got some time today, brother. I just wanted to give you your flowers, man, because you earned
Congrats.
that, man. You 100% earned that. And it's an inspiration to me to see that you were able to do that from Italy, not speaking English as your first language, to still get that deal done. Because I have yet to do a deal in a foreign country, and I'm making it my intention to do one here in Brazil.
Yeah, I think yeah, I think there is, I don't know anything about other countries. Vittoria, what's up?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
You, okay. Yeah, hi everybody. But
Good morning.
yeah, it was good morning. So yeah, it was a crazy deal just because I reached out to you. Obviously, you were busy. That is
Hmm.
it's normal that you're busy, but yeah, I reached out to another subject to student that were buying in the area, and they basically closed it. But it's not the complete story because the one that I reached out to you. We went out on escrow with the first one, and a lawyer came up. They changed their mind. They wanted to do a land contract, and after that, they changed their mind again. And yeah, they changed their mind, and it's this wasn't a subject to deal. After that, I keep calling. Got another one. They were saying yes. After that, I watched your videos on Loom. I'm pretty much go with all the
Nice.
objection from the realtor with the realtor, and yeah, pretty much was pretty much smooth because the negotiate doesn't there weren't really much negotiation. We were pretty much set on the price because the equity was so low, and yeah,
Right.
it was pretty smooth. Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, I'm glad I was able to. I wasn't able to help directly on the deal, but I'm glad that I was able to hopefully indirectly help with whatever video you were able to watch. But that,
No,
even
pretty
so,
much all
that's
of
just
them.
a, yeah,
Yeah,
that's
pretty much
good.
all.
But even so, though, like it's just a video of, what I mean? You put in the work. So you watched the video, you took what you got from the video, but you actually called and put in the work and actually had those conversations and negotiations and things like that and got it under contract. So, that's fantastic, man. Sub twos again are it's an advanced purchase strategy. So, for you to understand it just from whatever research you've done and from watching videos of mine, like to be able to go and get something actually under contract and get it closed. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah,
That
so
speaks
but
to your knowledge of real estate and everything else.
I would say that sub two in my mind was a normal thing there in the US. So yeah, I was going with the
I mean,
mindset that it's pretty much normal because I was watching Pace and all these community
yeah,
that
yeah,
okay
yeah.
sub two creative. So I was
Hmm.
pretty, and also all the realtors that I'm speaking with, they were stay straightforward, no sub two, nothing creative. So I
Yep.
was thinking, yeah, it's pretty much normal.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. If you were making those phone calls, I don't even know, maybe 12 months ago, definitely 12 months and ago, you would be talking to agents that they wouldn't know what you were talking about. They would not understand. I would say more than 80% of those phone calls, you would have to explain what sub two is. Now there's so many of them on the table. I still think the ones that are saying no to sub two likely still don't fully understand what sub two is. They just understand they're getting a lot of sub two offers and people saying, hey, this is a sub two offer. And they probably have a slight understanding of it and they're saying no to it. So I still think a large majority don't understand it. They've never completed one, so they definitely don't understand it. So just you alone completing this one deal, you probably understand more about sub two than I definitely more than 50% of real estate agents in this country, for sure.
Wow, that's
For sure.
interesting.
And you
Yep.
earned that.
So it's funny though that yeah, 100%. 100%. You found somebody, you found a situation where it had a problem, maybe not on the surface because everybody else that's surfing, looking at the MLS was this on market or off market?
On market, was on
Yep.
market.
So this is an on market listing for all intents and purposes, looks like a normal house, right? It's turnkey, it's move in ready, you see the asking price, nobody else understands what's going on the back end. And you were able to, find those issues, the low equity, and you were able to structure it to make sense to all parties, obviously, and hopefully actually help somebody in that process. Somebody with low equity who was possibly writing a check at closing, you were able to help them. You found a sub two student to help you with that. Everybody made money. Everybody wins. I think that's crazy, man. Good for you.
Yeah, thank you. No, thanks to you. If it wasn't for you, I will never done that, man. If
Well, I appreciate that. I'll take that, but at the same time, like I said, you just watched videos of mine, and I appreciate that. But again, there's just like there's plenty of people. Unfortunately, there's plenty of people here and everywhere else where I've shared videos that aren't closing deals. It's very easy to consume the information. It's very easy to sit on your phone and watch videos and be like, oh, I understand that. But the action is the hardest part. Actually picking up the phone and calling these people, whether it's the seller, the listing agent, actually talking about terms, actually having the internal, fortitude to actually say, hey, this is a sub two offer, go over the objections with somebody who has no idea what a sub two is. That's absolutely the hardest part. And already with a language barrier on your side and everything else that you're facing already, whether it's just picking up the phone, you're already you know two steps behind anybody else. So you had to overcome that and pitch an advanced purchase strategy on top of that as well. Like that is insanely. I respect that.
yeah, thank you, thank
That's
you so much.
revolutionary, man. That's revolutionary.
Super. That's awesome, man.
Yeah,
I love to
but
see
no,
that for sure.
yeah, for sure, nothing done yet. So have to double down and keep going.
There you go. You already got the right mindset. Like you said, you did it, and now you know, like, all right, I can't take my foot off the gas. I gotta double down and keep doing it. But now, again, you've created somewhat of a blueprint. You understand what you did on that first one, so now you have to figure out how to implement that again and again and again, and to scale that to the point where you know how to identify it, you know how to lock them up, you know how to get rid of them. So whether that's you getting rid of them or that's you partnering with a sub two student to help you get rid of them, but you found at least a blueprint that worked this time. So now you understand what steps you have to take to get it done again.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So I'm also really happy that I stumbled across you because when I was going with the sub two community there, they were all happy. Seems like there's no issue in the transaction. There's no everything. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's actually quite hard. There's some stuff that can happen. And yeah, thank you for keeping real because from my point of view, it seems like La La Land, but it's all perfect. Mm, yeah, you just you just give them their mortgage and an investor can keep paying off and it's pretty much easy, but there's some consequences there.
Yeah, it's
And yeah,
yeah, and that's so
thank you
I
for
I
keeping
have
it
a new
real.
of course, always keeping it real. I have a new partnership, like I was talking to John with. So it's two individuals. They're cash buyers in the past, and they're trying to get into sub two. So they have an understanding of sub two, but not to the point where they can have in depth conversations with people. Two students now um, that are constantly getting trainings and people talking to them and all that kind of stuff. So you're in good hands there. So even if you did what you do on the front end and then just give it to them to close out and then dispo and get rid of it and you guys break bread at the closing table, like even that's easy. um, and then you know that it's in good hands with them because they have all the proper documents. They're making sure that you're covered on the back end with any, well, you don't have to worry about anything in that sense, but making sure that you're covered in any kind of like liability scenarios, things like that. So you're in good hands with them. So that even is a good exit strategy for you.
Oh yeah, for sure. No, you're right, but I will definitely do that, I believe, for at least 10 more transaction.
There you go. 10's
Yeah,
a good
I
number.
will just
Getting
part.
that double digit.
Yeah, at least I will just JV with people, with you or other sub two students. Then we'll just go from there.
Absolutely, bro. Absolutely. Hopefully we can do it together. Of course,
Yes, sir.
this is your proof of concept too. Like a lot of people, again, unfortunately, you have a language barrier and things like that. So people might write you off right away. But now you have a proof of concept. You've shown that you can close a deal. You show that you can acquire a deal. You show that you know how to locate them. You're showing them that you know how to get on the phone and negotiate these deals and get them closed. You're showing them that you're resourceful and know how to find the person to close it out for you or to dispo it and all of that. So that's proof of concept alone in order for people should want to work with you.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But also maybe the conversation is also more easier because it's kind of always the same thing that I have to say. So yeah, my
Yeah,
English
well, what
you
just
can get a little bit better.
just wait. When you, I mean, I say in my Loom, I have to look. I wonder if there's a way for me to like pull up the data on it. Just Loom, just recorded calls. And I record probably 20% of the conversations I have. Just Loom, I definitely have probably 100 hours of phone calls on there. When you start talking to agents I talk to probably, I don't know, 5 agents a day. I'm definitely talking to close to 50 a week now at this point. It's the same thing every single conversation. It's the same questions. It's the same objections.
Yeah.
It's the biggest part is just The questions are the same, the objections are the same. So the biggest part of those conversations is just I'm talking to agents in so many different states and markets. So figuring out who they are as a person. So how do I need to talk to them? Do I need to come off, more friendly? Do I have to come off more stern? Can I be joking? It's more just figuring out them like in a psychology standpoint, because the questions they're going to have are going to be the same questions. The objections are going to be the exact same. It's going to be the top 3 to 4 questions I get all the time. So it's just more so now. Like now, I get leads. We send out we're sending out an insane amount of offers on a daily basis now. Um, so now I get phone calls from agents who have received our offer, and I don't even have a chance to pull up the offer, but I know sub two like the back of my hand, and I already know kind of the questions they're going to ask, so I can just answer my phone. I don't even have to be in front of my computer. I can have that conversation right then and there, and I don't need to be looking at the contract. I don't even need to be looking at the property that they're referring to, because the questions they're asking me aren't even about the property, and likely not even the contract. They're asking me questions about sub two, so I can just answer those all the time. But like I said, it's the same repetitive conversation. So you'll realize that the more and more you do it. So it's just, again, figuring out that cadence of how to talk to people will end up being the biggest hurdle in every conversation. Outside of that,
Yeah.
the information is the same.
Oh yeah, for sure. To me, yeah, maybe it will be the more difficult part just because of English is my second language.
Right.
So to
Yep.
really, yeah, to really speak and convey my emotion to who I'm talking to and who I'm talking with will be it's kind of difficult, but yeah, it's doable.
And again, that's just having conversations in general. So I think the more conversations you have with whatever you're going after, the more you'll figure out that prototype of person that you're talking to all the time. Because again, agents are agents. Some of them are different, some of them are the exact same. So it's just, again, more reps, more conversations. You'll end up learning more and more how to talk to people. You'll be more comfortable. You'll end up just talking a different type of way that's more comfortable to you and more comfortable to them. And I think that'll help with conversions. But again, you've already converted, so you'll keep doing what you're doing. I don't even want to tell you anything else because you're obviously already on the right track.
Yeah, yeah, thank you. Yeah, as I say, I will just double down and go for it.
Love to see it. Sub two deals in Italy, sub two deals in Brazil. I mean, I think there's more sub two deals in this community happening internationally than locally.
I'll tell you, the Airbnb that I'm in now, I was talking to the my friends here at this brokerage, and I was like, "Do people here do owner finance?" And they're like, "Yeah, it's actually very common." And they were telling me that a lot of owner finance deals out here go down for half a percentage, 0.1%, 0.5, 0.05% interest. That's acceptable out here. They're cool with half a percentage of interest. They're cool with that. And if I just slap these on Airbnb, I've already got friends that could manage them. I know I could run it up. I know I could run it up. I know I could run it up.
I mean, I know nothing about international real estate. I know when I was, like I said, working with my ISA, Juan out in Nicaragua, that's pretty much the only place I even remotely was paying attention to, because he would send me listings all the time. Because again, just comparing the two markets, right? Comparing where I was in Chicago to, he's like, dude, check out this. He's like, I think we're gonna move here, and it would be like a condo on the beach, all modernized, all crazy, and it was like $300 a month or so. It was some insane amount of money that I was just like, what is going on? And then, I'm asking him, I'm like, is it like, what does the market look like? Are people, a lot of it was just like tourism, people coming in and buying up, beachfront, obviously, like what happens in like Mexico, right? Like Tulum, Mexico, and places like that. You get people from the US and other places buying up like vacation properties and building resorts and things like that. So I know that that's a huge part of the economy in those types of countries. Um, but that's the only part is like, is there demand, I guess, that makes sense in order to, I mean, if you're owner financing, that's one thing because you're not, because I know mortgages and getting loans is what the biggest struggle is in those countries. So people
I
still
will
want
say
to buy
that
and sell.
the demand is definitely here, especially in touristic areas for sure, especially on a beach anywhere. If it's a good price, somebody will pay. I paid, but there's also a preconceived notion that Brazil is like a dangerous place. Like any American I've spoken to tells me, be careful in Brazil. Even Brazilians say this too, but I will say, like, I love it here. I don't feel in danger. I don't really feel in danger anywhere I'm at though, because like I operate in a mindset of faith. Obviously, I don't take stupid decisions. I don't take uncalculated risk and put myself in a position where I can get in trouble. But I never had a problem feeling unsafe in any of my travels. Um, but I see that they're making big moves. This country is making big moves. Wherever you stand on like the whole BRICS alliance, it exists and something is going to happen. I don't know what is going to happen exactly, but something is going to happen. And I want to make sure that I can capitalize on what I think is going to happen. Eduardo says, you look like a native Brazilian, bro. You need an accent only. Give
That
me a
sounds
couple
like
more
you
months.
you have a better when I talk about danger in Brazil, I probably have a higher risk of people trying to catch me because I definitely don't look like I remotely there's not a town in Brazil where there's people that look like me. So I know that it's probably much riskier for me
Probably.
in those scenarios.
Taylor, thank you for
But
joining us, man. You've been on the stage for a minute. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good. I just wanted to touch on the guy you just hit up here from Italy, um, taking that initiative and being part of the community utilizing partnership essentially. Uh, if it weren't for Bob helping me out, I wouldn't have known what I was doing on this deal that just came up in Goshen, Indiana. He hopped on a conference call with me, not yesterday, but the day before, and kind of went through all of the different things to come for the seller. And it was almost textbook how he explained that the seller would probably want quite a bit of money and that they just really don't have the options, and that he was going to let her run herself through the options to come to the realization herself and explaining it to herself that this was the best option for her. And it was on my CRM, so I have an invaluable piece of a recording that I can relive and learn from that conversation on how to keep my tone, what things to address, what things to keep in mind, and uh, good luck to him. He had a procedure yesterday. I hope he's all right. Um, but yeah, I would have been lost on it without him, and I wanted to serve the seller properly. I wouldn't have had the tools. I probably could have handled it, but I didn't want to take that risk for her. She's going to foreclosure on November 5th, so wanted to handle it correctly. Now it's looking like instead of her having to come out of pocket and uh, be charged for the auction going to sale and having to be charged for that as income, uh, she'll probably walk away with some money. So it's good.
That's fantastic.
yeah, I mean I think that's huge. Again, like partnering with people, because again, even if maybe you could have handled it yourself, but you internally you're like, all right, but there might be some things that come up, and I want to be able to help this person, and I don't want to have to waste any time, especially with somebody who has a shot clock on them already with a upcoming foreclosure. So having that happen, and again, Bob basically laying out realistically what that conversation is going to look like, and it almost played out exactly like that. And that comes from reps as well, right? Like having that conversation 1,000 times, 2,000 times, knowing how they usually play out, same way that I just explained. Like on the sub two side. Like you get the same questions, same conversations. You might get the objections or questions in different orders, but you're getting them all the same, and it's just the same conversation. So that's huge. And then again, having that recording too. Like a lot of people record stuff and will just either post it or maybe send it to some whatever they're using it for. But it's like people that record themselves at the gym to check their form, to check a like watching yourself or listening to yourself, and hearing different parts of that conversation to see how maybe you could have done better, or what you would have changed differently for next time, so you can better yourself in those future conversations. I think is big. So I don't even think recording is for like vain purposes. I think it also can be used for those self growth purposes as well. If you're going to be on the phones all day, you need to know how you're talking and how you're coming off. So I think that's big too.
I agree.
Yep.
And that just goes to show, power of proximity and being in proximity with the right people, because you were able to connect with Bob and present this opportunity to him. He could walk you through the deal and give you a little bit more insight on, what you need to do to make it happen. And like you said, you got an invaluable record. You can watch that over and over. And I know Bob is that guy, man. He's a certified G. And, for him to tell you about how he communicates and really get into the tonality of things and how to conduct yourself over the phone to make sure that you're conveying a level of professionalism at all times is invaluable. So I am glad that you got that opportunity, and I look forward to seeing you closing multiple deals.
Thanks for having me up.
Yeah, those are the feel good ones, man. Like again, foreclosures are tough. You got people that are trying to hide from you. They don't want to discuss it. So they're very tough to approach and to handle. But those are the ones that, those are the feel good ones, man. Those are the ones that like when you can say that you like help someone avoid foreclosure, somebody that was has a pending foreclosure that might actually walk away with money at the closing table, like that's good, man. That feels good. Like again, like the burnout can be real, or just like this, the general stress of what we do, the repetitive conversations, it can become a thing. So when that's on the finish line of things, where you're like, man, at least I actually help somebody here. Like that feels good. Where like again, as a real estate agent, it's kind of like self interest in a sense, especially like a buyer's agent. You're just helping people that have already been pre-approved. They've already gone through that process. You're opening some doors. You're answering some questions. And again, there are agents that help people. I don't want to exclude that, 100%. But I would say a large majority of transactions, again, you're opening a door, showing them around, showing them a couple houses, answering questions, signing the contract, helping them with the inspection, stuff like that, and then closing it out. Great. Take a picture in front of the house. Love it. Post it on your social media. On to the next. These are scenarios that like agents and other large majority of people don't know how to solve these issues. And so a standard person looks at that and they're like, oh man, that person's screwed. Like, what am I? They're going to foreclosure. If we can't sell this thing quick, there's nothing else I know how to do. I can put it on the market and list it, but if nobody buys it, there's nothing I can do to help. And then people like yourself and Bob and other individuals know how to solve that issue. And now you actually helped somebody in that scenario that maybe felt helpless up to that point. A lot of people in those scenarios feel helpless, and that's why they hide. They're not hiding because they're jerks of human beings that are just like that. They're hiding because they're embarrassed. They don't know any other way out. Everybody else they've talked to has no idea how to get them out of that scenario. Think of like the normal homeowner is not a real estate expert. So think about everybody around them is likely not a real estate expert either. They may have bought that house 20 years ago and have never done a single real estate transaction or real estate experience since then, and nobody around them either. So they hide from embarrassment. And so for you, anybody that can close a pre-foreclosure or a foreclosure prospect and get it to the finish line and close it out, like there's so many objections that take place in that scenario. Like you're overcoming, going back to like the psychology, that first big hump is like overcoming that embarrassment. Like trying to get them to come out of hiding is one thing. Trying to get them to uncover information that you're asking for that's embarrassing to say, like, yeah, I owe $50,000. I've been late on my mortgage for the last 12 months. Like all that's embarrassing. So to be able to handle all of those things, navigate it appropriately and respectfully, and then still solve that issue and not maybe put money in their pocket, or at least solve that issue so they're not getting hit with a foreclosure and not losing, that's huge. So I always respect the foreclosure and the pre-foreclosure grind for sure, because it's definitely a grind and you're dealing with like, my stuff on the sub two side, thankfully, majority of it is like standard owner occupant, turnkey. Maybe they're 1 to 4 months behind in their mortgage. It's not, some of them are in pre foreclosure already, but some are not. They were like in forbearances. So not that. Like there's a whole different plethora of issues on the actual like foreclosure side of things, like real human emotions and things like that that take place. So I think flowers to everybody that does it, and good job for both of you guys.
She's in a pretty bad position too. Like her daughter passed away. Her daughter was originally going to be the one taking over the payments and taking over the house, and her daughter had 4 kids that she's now taking care of. And
Yeah, I mean,
the state helped. She's got a couple of liens because the state offered to help pay the mortgage throughout some of that hardship. And she also had to fight for custody from one of the baby daddies that didn't want to be paying, child support and stuff like that, but was a bad influence. And so all of it kind of coming together is just so much on her plate. You can hear the shuddering in her voice from the stress.
And
yeah, man. I mean,
that's the
that's
unique
that.
thing is where you could come in and be somebody in her life, a positive influence in her life to help her out of this distress situation. And I'm just grateful that we're even in a position to know the things that we know to be able to help the people that we can help. And I'm beyond grateful to be in proximity with all of you. Ladies and gentlemen, it is 1:30 p.m. my time, 12:30 p.m. Eastern time. I hope that you all have a fantastic day. Let's take all of this energy and get to work. I know that I'm ready to hit the phones. I hope that you're all ready to hit the phones today. I appreciate y'all. I love y'all for real. And I will catch y'all in the next one. Send
Peace.
them that link.